Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. So, been a bit of a long day, just got back from the theater and some running around and some other stuff, and figured roommates aren't home, don't know where they're at, so let's go ahead and sit down and do these movie reviews instead of waiting until tomorrow, because they'll go to work tomorrow, and then I'll be able to record another movie review, because I should be getting home from another movie right around the time they're leaving, which will be awesome. So anyway, first up today, went and saw Zootopia. What did I think of Zootopia? Well, I can't really say it's a bad movie, because it's made up in part of smaller parts of a lot of good movies. Overall, it's just kind of like little homages to a bunch of different films, with an overall premise kind of bringing them all together. And honestly, the overall premise seems like something I've seen before, but I just can't think of what movie it would have been in. But overall, for what it is, it's a cute film, and I don't want to say I didn't have a good time with it. I will say I was expecting a little bit more out of it. Really, the biggest laugh in the whole film probably comes from the preview, and that's one thing I was kind of afraid of, was since they played out that entire scene, that it would be the only strong joke in the entire film. There were a couple other little chuckle moments, but not very many. Overall, it just kind of plays out as a film, and doesn't really strive too much for comedy as much as it does for satire, I guess. So basically the story starts out with this. It basically explains how hundreds of years ago animals were separated into two categories, predators and prey, and over time they managed to set their differences aside. They evolved and became friends, and they formed this giant city called Zootopia, where everyone lives together in harmony. This story is told by a young bunny on a farm, whose family grows carrots, go figure, and they're basically saying like what they want to do when they get older, and she says she wants to be a cop. And everyone kind of laughs and like, yeah, right, a bunny is a cop. They've never had a bunny as a cop. So I guess cops are usually more stronger predatory animals. So she sets out to prove everyone wrong, and enrolls in the police academy, and through a lot of hard work and determination, passes and becomes a cop, and her first assignment is a meter maid. So we spend the first part of the movie watching her give out a bunch of tickets, trying to be overproductive at her job. In the meantime, there are 14 people who have gone missing, or characters that have gone missing, animals I should say. So the police chief is handing out assignments to all the other groups to go try to find them, and he gives her the job of being a meter maid. So eventually she's put onto one of the cases, and it's kind of because she stuck her neck out and the boss was going to fire her, but then the mayor's kind of on her side, and he's kind of forced to he gives her like 48 hours to solve the case, even though they've been working on it for like 2 weeks and have no leads. So she goes out and meets up with the Fox character, and he's not a cop, he's just a civilian. He's kind of a con man that she kind of busts at one point, and he's kind of able to get away with it because he's been stringing the con for a long time, and then she kind of finds a loophole to get him on her side, like, hey, I got this evidence against you, you can either help me out or you can go to jail. So he kind of like takes her through the underworld basically, and kind of leads her through some stuff to help her find these missing people. So they follow a few leads, and they end up finding a license plate number. And so the reason that she goes to him for help in the first place is because it turns out he was one of the last people to see one of the missing people. So he's like, well, I don't know what happened to him, but I know where he was going when I last saw him. So she takes him there. They get a lead from that place, which is the license plate number. They go to the DMV, and that's the sloth scene from the preview. She gets the license plate number. She tracks down who it belongs to. She goes there to investigate and finds out that the license plate belongs to a limo that belongs to the Godfather. So the Godfather kind of gives them another lead of where to go check, and that leads them to finding where all the people actually are, and turns out the mayor's in on it. So she kind of records the mayor, calls her boss, says, hey, you got to see this, and they arrest the mayor. And the mayor's like, you don't understand, I wasn't doing it to do anything like shady. I was trying to help them because there's something wrong with them. And she doesn't listen, of course, because she's so proud of herself for solving the case. And then she has to do a press conference, and she kind of gives some wrong information or gives too much information to the media, and the media kind of strings it along into their own little thing and creates mass panic. So she resigns from the force, saying that the duty of a cop is to protect and serve the city and keep it peaceful and together, and she did the exact opposite by tearing it apart. So she resigns and goes back to the farm, and while on the farm she meets up with her childhood bully, who's grown up now and reformed, and he actually gives her some information that, stupid information that she really should have known, but because she wasn't interested in farming when she was a kid, she never learned it. And it turns out to be the break that she needed for the case. So she takes off and goes back to the city and uncovers this huge drug ring, I guess, and it kind of has a little homage to Breaking Bad. And then she gathers the evidence, and she goes to the new mayor, who was the assistant mayor previously, who was the one that was on her side the whole time. And spoilers, it turns out that she was the one who was behind it all to begin with. So then they go through and gather evidence on her and report her. She gets arrested. The other mayor's kind of put back into place, even though he kind of did wrong. But, he's like, well, yeah, I was wrong in what I did, but I was trying to protect everyone and figure out what was going on before it got out of hand. I probably should have went about it differently. And then she's rewarded as being, super cop. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. A lot more to it. There's a lot of other clues that she has to follow and stuff. But, yeah, overall, I mean, if it sounds like it's a familiar thing, I've seen it in another movie before. I just can't think of what. A lot of the predator versus prey arguments, that could always be sexism, kind of like a G.I. Jane type of thing where, a woman's never done this before, or even racial issues, with blacks and whites, or just the youngest cadet on the force or something, and they're top of their class and they're kind of a show-off or whatever. There's a lot of subtext in it, but it's worked to be a kids film that just kind of has little nods towards other films and television shows of pop culture. So, like I said, since it's not really an original movie in its own right, you can't really call it a bad movie because it's made up of a lot of good movies and good TV shows. However, the biggest joke out of the entire movie came from the preview, so since I laughed at it the first time I heard it, and then I saw it 900 more times, it wasn't funny. Although the sloth does come back into play at the end of the movie, and that was funny. So, like I said, it does have a couple other little chuckles throughout it, but not very many overall. Which is really what I was afraid of when I saw how funny the preview was. I was like, either that movie's going to be hilarious, or that's going to be the only joke, and it's going to flop. I wouldn't necessarily call it a flop, though. So as far as a star rating on this one, I'd probably give it a 3. Yeah, I was going to say a 3.5, but like I said, the fact that it's made up of so many other movies that it doesn't really allow it to stand on its own, and the fact that the one big joke of the movie was kind of blown in the preview, yeah, it loses a little bit for that. So, yeah, we're going to go with a 3. It's just kind of middle of the road. Not bad, not good. Well, I can't say not good, because it was decent. Yeah, if you like kids' movies, check it out. If you laughed at that joke, check it out. You might like it. Yeah, if you just like kind of mysteries, but with a little bit of humor to them, check it out. Yeah, if you don't like animated films, probably not watch it. Like I said, this movie does exist in some other format. I just cannot think of what it is. But yeah, so that's it for this episode. That's my thoughts on Zootopia. I've got another review coming up, and then I'm going to go see another movie tomorrow. So going to start finally being caught up to where I want to be, and then I'll be able to see new movies as they come out instead of spending a fortune to play catch-up every couple months. So until next time, again, as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and share the video. Links will be down there or up here. Almost did it again. I always go this way. It's away from the microphone, up here. So you can use those links to follow me on all the social stuff, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Instagram, I'm on there too, even though I don't post that much on there. But yeah, so until next time, as always, we will see you after the credits.